Morning, Kal Kadosh. We're just going to continue Bezrat Hashem with Daf Samechet today. We're just going to start the Mishnah again, the Klal Gadol on Tzach Zayin Amud Bet, just so that way we get into the picture again. Klal Gadol Amru b'Shabbat. So we said a general rule on Shabbat. Kol hashocheach ikar Shabbat. Anybody that's going to forget the concept of Shabbat, meaning you had a person that he didn't realize it was Shabbat. Not he didn't realize, he didn't know the Shabbat at all. So he did a whole bunch of melachot on a whole bunch of different Shabbatot as well. So he's only going to be chayav one avera, which means one korban for everything that he's done. However, though, Shabbat, if a person does know the concept of Shabbat, and he did a whole bunch of melachot on harbe Shabbatot, so then it says chayav al kol Shabbat v'Shabbat. He's going to be chayav on every single Shabbat that he's done any types of melachot. So remember, if he's done all these types of melachot, he's going to be chayav on all of them. Shabbat, somebody that knows that it's Shabbat, chayav al kol av melacha umelacha. So in every single av and av melacha. So for example, he did zoreah, he did planting, he did plowing, so he did reaping, he did all these things. So he's going to be on chayav on every single one as well, right? Or also on a toladan and an av bifnei atzmo. So that's also important that sometimes you do an av and a toladah, which means the primary and a subcategory, the exact same thing, he will be chayav for both of them as well. So that's also important to note. Okay? Then it says, however, though, what happens if you did a whole bunch of toladot and avot, which means you didn't know the difference, right, in between. So you did a av and a toladah, right? The same av and toladah, the same primary and subcategory. You're only going to be chayav one chatat. Okay, why? Because since it's the same av and toladas, you're only going to be chayav echad. Okay? Says the Gemara, Masechet Amud Aleph. My tamatana klal gadol. What's the reasoning why we said klal gadol? I just say zak klal. This is a general rule. Why does it say klal gadol? If it's because we had to teach later on od klal acher, other types of general rules, right? And therefore, right, these other general rules that we're teaching, right, only has two different, two details, right? And here you have four details. Tana klal gadol, and that's why we learned gadol, because there's much more details. So we learned klal gadol. Shvit nami. 1 second, look at shvit. By shvit, mishum dekabay limitni by shvit, because we had to learn by shvit od klal acher, another klal acher. Tana klal gadol. We also learned the klal gadol. There, the klal acher was one detail, and there in the Mishnah Shvit, we learned two details. So that's what we learned. Gadol. Haga b'maaser. What about maaser? Tiktani klal acher, right? Velotani klal gadol. By maaser, we didn't say klal gadol. We said the klal by maaser. We just said a general rule. But then we also taught later on by klal acher, and we didn't say klal gadol. So the question is that what's going on here? Why does it say klal gadol, a big general rule? Just say klal, a general rule. Now, if you're going to tell me it's because you have more details, which means here we have more details than the next Mishnah, and the next Mishnah is going to say klal acher, like another general rule, right? And therefore here it's klal gadol, but there's more details, which could make sense because over there, we're going to learn two different details, and here we learned four details. And Shavit also could apply with that concept, because by Shavit, right, it's 2 and 1, meaning the Klal Gadol was 2, and the Klal Acher was 1. So that makes sense. What about Maaser? Maaser, that we learned by Maaser, it was going to be 2 and then 1. We didn't say Gadol. So why over here do we say Klal Gadol? Okay? Does it make sense, the question? Let me just make sure that everyone could unmute themselves if they want.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, okay, fine. Very good. No, I just wanted to make sure that everyone could unmute themselves. Okay, very good. So says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yosef Baravin, says Rabbi Yosef Baravin, Shabbat u'shvi'it de'it behu avot ve'toladot. By Shabbat and Shvi'it, there's the avot melachot and there's toladot. So too by Shvi'it, there's the concept of an av and a toladah by Shvi'it also.
And Yana de Yoma.
Which one?
And Yana de Yoma.
Yeah, 100%. So he says, so because of that, Tana Gadol, we taught Gadol. We taught the concept of Gadol, Klal Gadol. Maaser dilet Avot v'toladot. By Maaser, that it doesn't have Avot v'toladot, Lo Tana Klal Gadol. So we didn't teach Klal Gadol, which means Shevit, which obviously that's why Benjamin said, because this week's parasha is Behabe Chuktai. We speak about Shevit at the beginning of the parasha. So Shevit is exactly like Shabbat. We would have to see how. I don't know if he's actually going to mention it or not, but there's a concept of Avot and Toladot by Shevit. Here it just says, Melachot HaSadeh ve'Kerem Asura b'Shevit also has Avot v'Toladot. 39 Toladot.
Yes, it's bringing it down.
Yeah, Havot b'Shvit or Melachot, which are prohibited in the Torah. Zriya, planting, reaping, all types of reaping. There's Ketzira, Zemira, Betzira, those are all reaping, but just for different products, right? There's Ketzira is for wheat, Zemira is for grapes, and Betzira is usually for the oil, for the olives. Shar Melachot HaSedeh are called Toladot. Okay, very good. So let's bring it down. So Baruch Hashem. So again, Shivit and Shabbat have Avot and Toladot, so therefore we say Klal Gadol. Maaser, there's no Avot and Toladot, so therefore it's just Klal, just a general rule. We didn't say Klal Gadol. Okay? Ulbar kapara detani Klal Gadol b'Maaser, may Avot may Toladot ika. But one second, according to this answer that we just answered, there's somebody called, right, Bar Kapara, right? Everyone knows about Bar Kapara, yeah? Yeah, you have Bar Kapara. So this Bar Kapara, right, does learn Klal Gadol by Maaser. So now, if you do have the Girsa of Klal Gadol also in the Mishnayot Maaser, what type of Avot and Toladot do you have there? Right? At the end of the day, we just answered it's Avot and Toladot. So which Avot and Toladot do you have by Maaser? So answers the Gemara, but rather no. The reason why is because Gadol Onsho Shel Shabbat Yoter Mishel Shavi'it. The reason be'emet why it's written Klal Gadol is because the punishment of Shabbat is much more stricter than Shavi'it. The ilu Shabbat, because to do with the Yisur of Shabbat, Ita ben betalush ben mechubar. Whether it was something that was attached to the ground or something which is still mechubar to the ground, you still have the Yisur on Shabbat. For example, tochen velash, grinding and kneading. Right? That's even if it was already disconnected from the ground, that of Shabbat. V'ilu Shavi'it, but the Yisur of Shavi'it. Betalush leta. There's no such thing if it's detached. It's only an Yisur if it's meaning if you took it off from before Shavi'it, you detached it from the ground. There's no Yisur of Shavi'it. It's only if it was attached that there's an Yisur of Shavi'it. Ve'gadol onsha shel Shavi'it yoter min ha'maaser. And the punishment of Shavi'it is worse than the punishment of Maaser. The ilu Shavi'it, because to do a Shavi'it, Shemitah, Ita b'memachal adam b'memachal be'ema, doesn't matter whether it applies to an animal or to a human being's food. It applies to everything. Maaser, b'machal adam ita, it's only b'machal adam. B'machal be'ema leta, b'machal be'ema, there's nothing. Which means, the reason why we learned Klal Gadol was because to do a Shabbat and Shavi'it, Shabbat is a much higher level. Whether detached or not detached, always applies. So therefore it says Gadol, because it's greater than other general rules. Greater than Shavi'it.
Could you say like one is the Oraita, one is the Rabbanan?
What? Shavi'it is also Doraita. I didn't understand. Sorry?
But not on the detail.
Both are the Oraita. They're both the Oraita. What is that?
No, because Shavi'it, the laws of the Shavi'it is much less in the Oraita than Shabbat. Shabbat, you have 39 menachot. In the Shavi'it,
you're saying just mitzvah the number of melachot, not mitzvah the Doraita, not Doraita. Okay, right. That could be, but again, the truth is though that the way that he's answering here, he's talking about the onish. The truth is, I don't understand even well, I think it's obvious because the onish of Shabbat is sekilah. If a person's mechalel Shavi'it, they don't get sekilah. Nowhere close. You understand? Like it's if anything, it could be maybe, I'm not actually even sure.
So maybe that's why he says not Klal Gadol.
Yeah, it could be. But it's true because here also he's speaking about Onesh, and then all of a sudden it speaks about the stringency of the law, not the punishment. You understand? Which is very interesting. You understand? But again, I don't know. Let me just see here if it says anything quickly.
Also, על שבת, כאילו מקיים את כל התורה כולה, ועל שביעית אינו כתוב דבר כזה. So, you know, it's like...
Exactly.
Yeah. No, the Maharsha asked the question, by the way. The Maharsha says in the Maharam, they say, why didn't the Gemara just say, Gadol on Shel Shabbat yoter mishel Shvit? Because Shabbat yesh chiyuv mita, mashen kem Shvit. Shabbat has mita.
Okay.
Shvit doesn't. So that question is asked by the Maharsha and the Maharam. Especially when it's saying Gadol Onsho, we're talking about Onish, and then 2 seconds later we're saying, no, stringency because of where does the rule apply. I'm saying, the word doesn't work, you understand? So, but again, I don't, we have to, we would have to look into Iyun to see the Maharsha and Maharam. Okay? So again, Shabbat is more stricter than Shvi'it, and Shvi'it is more stricter than Maaser. So because of that, by the Shabbat and Shvi'it, it's written Gadol, but by the Maaser, it's not. Now, again, here also you could ask, if Shabbat was stricter than Shvi'it, so Shabbat should have it, Shvi'it shouldn't. Here, Shabbat does have it with Shvi'it, but then when you compare Shvi'it to Maaser, Maaser doesn't have and the Shvi'it does have. So let's see if he's going to ask it as well. So says the Gemara, Ul Bar Kappara the Tani Klal Gadol Maaser. However, though, according to Bar Kappara, that he does learn Klal Gadol by Maaser, Gadol Onsho Mishel Maaser Yoter Mishel Peah. You also have Klal Gadol by Maaser. Why? Maaser is stronger than Peah. Remember, Peah is you're leaving over the corner of the field to the Aniyim, to the poor people. Dilu Maaserita, because Maaser is going to be Betvua, Betena, V'yerek, also in figs and vegetables. Dilu Peah, but Peah, leaving the corner of the field is not going to be in Tena, V'yerek. So again, anytime that you're comparing it to something else and it's going to be stricter, you just say the word Gadol, okay? Which means that Shabbat is greater than Shemitah, Gadol by Shabbat. Shemitah greater than Maaser, Gadol by Shemitah. According to Bar Kappara, that there's also written Gadol by Peah. By Maaser. It's because Maaser is greater than Peah. The Tanam, we learned in the Mishnah in Peah. Klal amru bePeah. General rule they said in Peah. Again, Klal. It doesn't say Gadol. Klal amru bePeah. Kol shehu ochel v'nishmar. Anything which is food and is watched over, which means that you put in a safeguard, right, in a granary or all these things. It's going to grow to the ground. And it's collected in one shot. Okay? When you put it in an otzar, in a storage house, because it stays for a long period of time, it's going to be chayav bepeah. Ochel, when we're talking about, because we just said at the beginning of the Braita of the Mishnah, koshu ochel. So ochel is limiut sefiche, right? Satin v'kotza. So this is coming to exclude the different type of things which are made, like they're types of plants, but it's not food. It's made just to color, to use as a dye for clothing. I don't know how it translates it literally there in our scroll. You guys have the English translation? Of satim vekotza.
Aftergrowth of wood and matter.
Wood and matter.
I don't know what is it.
Basically, again, there are types of little plants or whatever it is that they're not used for used for dye, for coloring. Okay?
Not as food.
Yeah. Venishmar, what does it mean that it's going to be watched over lemut efker? Obviously, it can't be efker, because if it's ownerless, you're not going to be chayav and peah. Gidulom minaretz has to grow from the ground, lemut to exclude mushrooms or things like that, and the nourishment comes from the air. Or nowadays, all these types of hydroponics or all these things that they don't grow from the ground. When it says that it's going to be grabbed in one shot, which means that when you collect it from the field, you don't have to go in different stages. You could go in one stage, the miyut. It comes to exclude of figs, because figs are not going to be taken in one stage, right? But every single day you come and you start taking the figs little by little when they become already ripened. That you're going to leave it for a long time. Vegetables you can't keep it in a granary or a storage house for a long time, right? So obviously yerek is not going to be included in the peah. Okay, fine, very good. It says here, Ve'ilu gabe ma'aser tanan, but by ma'aser we learned, klal amru b'ma'aser, a general rule again. Doesn't say gadol, because it was only Bar Kappara that learned it was gadol. Klal amru b'ma'aser, we learned a general rule ma'aser. Kol shehu ochel v'nishmar v'gidlo min haaretz chayav b'ma'aser. So anything which is ochel, food, the same thing. Nishmar, also the same thing. Gidlo min haaretz, also the same thing. Chayav b'ma'aser, you're chayav b'ma'aser. However, though, לכיתתו כאחת ומכניסו לקיום לא תנען, we didn't learn the other two conditions of that you have to take it in one shot, or you have to be able to take it into a storage house. So the fact that you don't have these two conditions, it's including te'ena v'yerek, figs and vegetables, and therefore what's happening is that also that maaser is greater than peah, because you have more stringencies. Again, here you're not taking the word onish as literally a punishment, but rather as more like stringencies in how it's done. Okay? Fine. Rav and Shmuel are now going to go back to analyze the first halakha of our Mishnah. So it says over here like this. Remember, we said that if a person forgot Shabbat bichlal, it's not that he didn't know it was Shabbat. It's he doesn't know the concept of Shabbat. Okay, that's what it means. Shocheach ikar Shabbat. And he did a whole bunch of melachot, so he's only going to be chayav one chatat. So Rav and Shmuel damri tavayu, Rav and Shmuel, they both said, matnitin betinok shenishba levin anochrim. Obviously, our Mishnah is referring to a child that he was captured at a very young age amongst the goyim. So therefore, he was never taught Shabbat. Right? He was a young little child. Remember, this actually used to happen even until recently. I remember the Russian army and all these places, they used to take the people and they used to put them there for 25 years. They used to lock them up. You understand? So since they used to lock them up, what happens is that they used to be, so many times they would come, they would steal the children and then put them in the army. And then now, go look for them. You're never going to see them again. So 25 years later, they came back. They didn't even remember who their family was. They didn't remember nothing. They were clueless, right? So it says over here like this. So it says, we're talking about a tinok shenishba leven hagoyim, right? Or ger shenitkayer leven unochrim. You have a ger that was mitkayer, right? Also, that they never knew what was Shabbat. Aval ikir ulvasof shachach. But if he did know what is Shabbat, and then afterwards he just forgot what it is Shabbat, so he says, right, in such a case, chayav al kol Shabbat v'Shabbat. He's going to be chayav chatat on every single Shabbat. He's going to be chayav chatat. Okay? Then it says, Tzanan, we learned in our Mishnah, hashocheach ikar Shabbat, if you forgot ikar Shabbat, lav miklal david yediyah meikar. This is 1 second. I'm going to try to deduce from our Mishnah the exact opposite of Rav and Shmuel, what you just said. Why? It says, hashocheach ikar Shabbat. If you forget something, does that mean that you never learned it? It means that you knew about it and you forgot. And it's still the same halakha. So why does Rav and Shmuel come and tell me that it means that they never knew the concept of Shabbat? But if you knew about it and you forgot, you're going to be chayav. Our Mishnah is mashma the exact opposite. You could deduce from our Mishnah that even if you did remember it and then you forgot, there's no problem. It says the Gemara, no. Michael hashocheach ikar Shabbat. What does it mean that you forgot the ikar Shabbat? You didn't know it at all. You didn't know it. You never knew it. Not that you knew it and you forgot. You never knew about it. Aval, however, though, if you did know Shabbat and you forgot, what's halacha? Chayav al kol Shabbat v'Shabbat. You're going to tell me you're going to be chayav on every single Shabbat? Adetani, the fact that we said hayodea ikar Shabbat v'sam melachot arbe v'shabbatot arbe chayav al kol Shabbat v'Shabbat. From the fact that we just said right afterwards, 1 second later in the Mishnah, we said, if you did know about Shabbat, but you did a whole bunch of melachot arbe and shabbatot arbe, right? And because you forgot that it was Shabbat today, right? It's 1 second. Why don't we just teach another case also in between? Meaning the first case of the Mishnah was you never knew Shabbat, because that's the way that they're explaining it. You never knew the concept of Shabbat. So what's halacha? 1 chatat on all the melachot that you did. Okay, very good. The next part of the Mishnah was that you not only you knew about the concept of Shabbat, but you just forgot that today is Shabbat. And then you did a whole bunch of different melachot. So he says, you're going to be chayav al kol Shabbat. Shabbat, you're going to be chayav on every single Shabbat that you did a melacha. So 1 second, according to you, we should have made a middle ground, a middle case. The middle case should have been, litni hikiru vasof shachach, v'chol shekenu. Don't teach me that case. The case number 1 was you never knew about Shabbat in your life. Case number 2, you knew Shabbat, you knew about Shabbat, but you just forgot that this is Shabbatot. So therefore, you have to bring on every single one. So 1 second. Why don't you bring a middle case where you knew about Shabbat and you forgot the concept of Shabbat? And then you say Kol Sheken, and that's it. So says the Gemara, you're right. Maya yodea ikar Shabbat. What does it mean that you know the concept of Shabbat? That is exactly the second case. The second case is that you knew about the concept of Shabbat, you just forgot it. That's the second case. Okay? Next, Samechet Amubet. But if you didn't forget about it, what's the halacha? That means if you didn't forget about the Ikar Din Shabbat, but you just forgot that today is Shabbat, what's the halacha? Chayav al kol melacha u'melacha. Right? Are you going to tell me that you're going to be chayav on every single melacha? That means you're not going to be chayav on the Shabbat. You're going to be chayav on the melacha. Right? Remember, if you're going to say chayav al kol Shabbat means that if a person did 20 melachot the Shabbat, he's only going to be chayav one. 20 melachot on the next Shabbat, it's another one. 20 on the other one, it's another one. But it's only one for each Shabbat and Shabbat. The first case of the Mishnah was you're chayav one on everything because you never knew about Shabbat. So you did your mechalel Shabbat 20 times, one chatat. The second case of the Mishnah was if you were mechalel Shabbat, right, but you knew about the Shabbat, but you just forgot about Shabbat. So on every single Shabbat, you're going to be chayav one. Shabbat, this Shabbat of Be'ad Bechukotai, then Bamidbar, then Naso, then you continue going. One for every Shabbat. But according to what we're saying now, you should be chayav on every single melacha on Shabbat, not on the Shabbat itself. Adetani was the fact that we learned on the third case, Hayodea shehu Shabbat, if you knew it was Shabbat, and you did a whole bunch of melachot on Shabbatot, chayav al kol melacha, you are going to be obligated on every single melacha. Litni hayodea yikar Shabbat, v'kol shehu kanu. You should have said that on the second case already. That if you knew the concept of Shabbat, but you forgot that today was Shabbat, so you should be chayav on every single melacha. Not on the Shabbat, on the melacha. So you did 20 melachot, it's 20 chataot. Not just on one Shabbat, one melacha, or like on one, because of the Shabbat and all the melachot. So says the Gemara, no, you're right. Ela matnitim, but rather a Mishnah in the first case, where it said, Shocheach ikar Shabbat, is keshe'ikiru basof shachach. So we knocked down Rav and Shmuel, and we said, you're right. We retract and we say, you knew about Shabbat, but you forgot it. And that's why we use the Lashon of a shocheach. You forgot the Ikar Shabbat. However, though, even in the case of Rav and Shmuel, that's also like Ikiru Basof Shachach. Okay? This is what I mean to say. Because remember, the cases of Rav and Shmuel was Ger Shenitgayer or Atinok Shenishba Leben HaGoyim. So a convert or a Jew that was captured when he was a child between the Goyim, and therefore he doesn't know anything. This is what it means to say. Rav and Shmuel both saying, whether it's going to be a child that was captured by the Goyim or a convert that was converted, right? It's like he knew the halachot of the Ikar Din Shabbat and he forgot it. And therefore he's going to be chayav achatat. Okay?
All this is basically to remind us that we need to go over all the halachot Shabbat all the time. Because all this is just to remind us all the halacha of learning Shabbat, halachot Shabbat the whole time.
100%. Yeah. Here also he actually just says that the chidush was that even though they never learned it, right? It's still coming to teach you that you are going to be chayav chatat on all the Shabbatot, right? Because, at the end of the day, it's all one concept of Shabbat. But okay, fine. Next, the Gemara is now going to bring an argument that we just said now. Okay, it says like this. Rabbi Yochanan and Shimon Lakish Tamim Tavayu. Rabbi Yochanan and Resh Lakish both said, Davka she'ikiru basof shachach. Right? The Mishnah is only talking about a case where he knew and he forgot about it. However, though, in the case of what Rav and Shmuel said about the goy that converts or about the child that was captured by the goyim, patur, he's going to be patur legamre. Why is he patur legamre? Because it says over here that he's like omer mutar. Omer mutar means if I ask you, are you permitted to do this? And you say, yes, it's permitted. Omer mutar is not a shogeg. It's an honest. Shogeg means I accidentally did something. Here, they didn't do anything accidentally. They didn't even know it was Shabbat. So you're going to ask him, did you just turn on the light bechavana? Right? With intentionally? So they say, of course I did. But why Shabbat? What Shabbat? I don't know what you're talking about. That's not shogeg. Shogeg means I came, I knew it was Shabbat, I just forgot it was Shabbat, or I forgot that it's asur to turn off the light, right? Or turn on the light, and I did that. That is shogeg. Ones, which is force majeure, which means I had no clue, right? I didn't even know what was going on. That's patul legamre. So Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan are arguing on Rav and Shmuel, and they say to Rav and Shmuel, in your case of ger shenitgayer or tinok shenishba ben hagoyim, it's patul legamre. It's not going to be chayav. One chatat on everything. No, patul legamre. It's exempt completely because it's omer mutar. So the Gemara is going to ask against this now. Mateway, we're going to ask the question. Klal gadol amru b'Shabbat. The big general rule we said on Shabbat. Kol hashocheach ikar Shabbat v'asa melachot harbe b'Shabbatot harbe. Anybody that forgets the ikar of the Shabbat and he does melachot harbe, a whole bunch of melachot b'Shabbatot harbe, eno chayav elachat. You're only going to be chayav one. Keitzar, what's the case? Tinok shenishba leben hanochrim. We bring the case of the tinok. Or ger shenitgayer ben hanochrim ve'asa melachot harbe b'Shabbatot harbe. They did a whole bunch of melachot on Shabbat, on many different Shabbatot. Eno chayav elachatat achat. You're only going to be chayav chatat achat. So here is a braita, the exact same case that Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan and Rav and Shmuel are talking about, but it's going exactly like Rav and Shmuel. Because it's saying that even in that case of Tinok Shenishba Ben Hagoyim or Ger Shenitgayer Ben Hagoyim, right, what's happening? Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan said Patul Legamre. Rav and Shmuel says you're going to be chayav one. That's exactly what it says in this braita. You're going to be chayav one chatat. So therefore it's like Rav and Shmuel. So this is a question against Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Right? It says, al adam achat, v'al chelev achat, v'al avodah zara achat. So he says, even though we said you're only going to be chayav one chatat for Shabbat, you're going to be chayav dam, right? You're going to be chayav a chatat on dam, which means that on blood, if they drink blood, or on chelev, on the primitive fats, and avodah zara also, you're going to be chayav achat. Right? So the Gemara is going to bring somebody that argues, and then that would actually go like Rav Yochanan and Reish Lakish, right? So says the Gemara, Munbaz poter. However, though, Munbaz says you're patur. So it comes out that the bright at the beginning was like Rav and Shmuel. However, the Munbaz is like Rav Yochanan and Reish Lakish. Why? Munbaz dan lifnei Rabbi Akiva. This is what Munbaz was judging in front of Rabbi Akiva. Hoil mezid karui chote. Since a person that does something b'mezid is called a chote, right? This is talking about by korban shvuat ha'edut, which means if somebody swears falsely. Right? V'nefesh ki techeta, it says when a person is going to sin. So it means here it's calling a chet. Chet usually is an unintentional sin. But here it's going even on the mezid, right? Because here we're talking about that you demanded your friend to come to Bedin, and he answered him with false testimony. And he made him swear, and he swore falsely. So he's chayav a korban olev yored, okay? So therefore, what's happening is that we're calling it still a chatat, a chet. V'shogeg karui chote. And also, if somebody did it accidentally, he's also called a chet. Because it says, nefesh ki techeta, bishkaga. Bishkaga means unintentionally. Ma mezid, just like by mezid, and he's called a chote. Shaita lo yediyah, he had a yediyah, he had knowledge. He had a predetermined knowledge inside of him of what he's doing. Right? Because if not, then obviously it's not mezid. Av shogeg, shaita lo yediyah. So to shogeg, he also has to have a yediyah, which means he had to know about it, and he just forgot. However, though, a tinok that was captured by the goyim, or right, the ger shenitgayer that he never knew that he sued, it should be patur exactly completely. Amar lo Rabbi Akiva, says Rabbi Akiva to Munbaz, hareni mosif al dvarecha. I'm going to add onto your words, right, to make the shogeg like the mezid. Ima mezid, right, just like by the mezid that it's written chote, and it says shaita yediyah b'shat maaseh. The mezid, he had knowledge at the time of the maaseh. So to shogeg, haita lo yediyah b'shat maaseh. He had yediyah at the time of the maaseh, right? Not that he never knew about it at all. He had yediyah. He just forgot about it now. But he had yediyah. Amar lo, he said, hen, right? Correct. Right? That means it's true also by shogeg that he did have a yediyah. You just added to my words to even strengthen my words. That be'emet shogeg and mezid is the same thing. Amar lo, so Rabbi Akiva tells them, lidvarecha, en ze karui shogeg ela mezid. 1 second, but according to you, it's not shogeg. it's called mezid. Right? Why? Okay, the Gemara is going to explain what does this mean exactly. So it means even though Munbaz wanted to say that shogeg, he wanted to learn shogeg from mezid to obligate a shogeg that had didiyah b'shat achet, right? You don't need this shogeg over here, right? Unless you knew it from the beginning, and then afterwards you forgot it. Then you're going to be chayav. Okay, so that's what it means, shogeg. So ktani miha, however, though we did learn, in the words of the rabbis, keitzad, what is the case? Tinok, a tinok shenishpal ben agoyim, and you're only going to be chayav, chatat achat. So bishlam ala Rav and Shmuel micha, it's good Rav and Shmuel, because that Braita, the original Braita that we just wrote down, was like in accordance to Rav and Shmuel. El Rabbi Yochanan and Shakish, Kashya, but Rabbi Yochanan and Shakish have a question. I don't know what the question is. They have Munbaz, and I guess that's what we're going to bring down now. So Ami Lecha, Rabbi Yochanan and Shakish are going to answer you, no, it's not a question on us. Mika Munbaz did patar? He says, what? We have Munbaz. Munbaz was poter. Anan Damrin and Munbaz. We all like Munbaz. So you're right. The original part of the Braita was in accordance to Rav and Shmuel. Munbaz is like in accordance to Rabbi Yochanan and Shakish. That means they say like him, like Munbaz. Okay? My ta'amad de Munbaz, but what's the reasoning of Munbaz? It says the Gemara Dichtib, it says in the Pasuk, Torah achat yelachem laose bishkaga. It's all one Torah to do with somebody that does a bishogeg accidentally. Right? They were talking about Avodah Zarah, bishogeg. And it says immediately afterwards, we immediately afterwards it talks about b'mezid. If somebody does a biyad ramah with an outstretched hand, so he should have karet. So says the Mumbaz, iki shogeg lemezid. There's a juxtaposition. There's a close proximity between shogeg and mezid by the Avodah Zarah. To tell you, ma mezid shaita lo yediyah, just like mezid had a knowledge, so to shogeg he had knowledge at the beginning. This obviously comes to exclude that if he didn't have a knowledge at all, it's not even a shogeg. It's considered like honest. The Rabbanan, and according to the rabbis, what do they do with this concept of Torah achat yelachem? So the Gemara, they need it. Just like Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi was reading to his child by the pasuk. What does that mean? Torah achat yelachem laoseh bishkaga. It's written that they're going to have somebody that's doing bishkaga. And it's written. The person is going to make a mistake, b'shogeg, right? And again, we're talking about if a person is doing shogeg on one of the mitzvot, and it's written, okay, everything is juxtaposed to avodah zarah. Just like by the avodah zarah, it has to be that you're chayav karet if you did it purposely, and chatat if you did it b'shogeg. Avkol, any type of a shogeg, davar shechayavim al zedono karet b'shogeg chatat. So too, it has to be that something that if you did it purposely, it's going to be chayav karet, and if you did it by accident, you're going to be chayav chatat. So the chachamim come and they teach Torah achat yelachem laoseh bishkaga v'nefesh asher taseh b'yad ramah, the juxtaposition, like Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, that you needed to do with the korban chatat is only if you did it b'mezid, it's going to be karet, and b'shogeg it's chatat, and that's actually by Hilchot Shabbat as well. Hilchot Shabbat, if a person's mechalel Shabbat in front of two witnesses in warning, he gets tekilah. If there's no two witnesses or there's no warning, so then it's karet. And if you do it by accident, it's chatat. So it has the same criteria, just like Avodah Zarah, that if you did it b'mezid, it's karet, and b'shogeg, you're going to be chayav chatat. That's why they compared the two. That's what they needed it for. Not like what Mumbaz is saying, that you had to have a yediyah or not a yediyah. He's saying, no, it has to do with the type of a korban, with the punishments of there. And then obviously we're going to continue B'ezrat Hashem tomorrow with more of Mumbaz B'ezrat Hashem.